Hey, how are you? Sue's from Smarting Coaching. How you doing? I hope that you're well. I want to talk about something today that I'm experiencing at the moment, and I think it may be something that we can go through when we have a healing journey or a spiritual awakening or a journey of self-discovery, whatever you want to call it, a midlife crisis, a crisis of confidence, a shaking of who am I? And I wanted to just talk about that and touch on it a little bit today from my perspective. Excuse me. I am a life coach, a mum, a grandmother, a wife. I'm 53 and I've experienced lots of different things throughout my life. And I have made this channel to share with you and share with others different things that maybe they are struggling to language, are struggling to make sense of. I know when some of these things that I talk about on the channel happened to me, I thought I was going absolutely crazy. And I questioned my sanity several times over my spiritual awakening and my opening of my heart, all sorts of things. So I just make little videos just to see, I don't know, if maybe I can help one person today, which is the motto of my why I started Smarting Coaching. So today I want to talk about the little thing about meeting parts of yourself for the first time and what that can feel like. Sometimes in our life we will shut down parts of ourselves. We will lock them up in a cupboard in the very, very back of our heart, our mind, right over there in the darkness, right, with 7 locks and 5 blankets, and we make sure the lights don't shine there, right? We can do that for all sorts of reasons. Sometimes it's because we feel something about something that happened to us. We make it mean something it doesn't mean. We think that that part of us in that situation isn't a good thing, isn't a normal thing, isn't the best thing, makes us bad or whatever, and so we put it aside. We can do that with lots of things throughout our whole life, but it can be particularly common in your childhood or when you're younger or in your teenage years. So I remember when I first started learning about inner child healing, and I was a little bit frightened to go there because I didn't know what was there. I thought nothing was there in actual fact to start with. I had a pretty ordinary childhood. It was pretty normal. I thought I had, the greatest of things. It was amazing. And I really didn't think there was anything there. But inner child work is a thing. That's where you start. And I went and met the younger me. And I was really surprised at some of the things that I found, both in my inner child and also in my inner teenager. Now, I've got to say, I knew there was going to be stuff in my inner teenager. From 12 to, 17, even beyond that, I had a lot of rejected parts of me that I just threw aside, and I would put forward whatever would make it comfortable for me to exist in society, in the group, friendship group, at school, at work, whatever it was, I put forward. I was really intuitive and I knew what people wanted, and I was able to, morph or shape shift into whatever they needed. And so I just did that because I didn't want to be rejected anymore for the parts of me that didn't sit well. So all of this was happening inside of me. I don't know if anyone really knew just how hard I was finding life in teenage years and in some of my early childhood. And I don't think I really knew how difficult I was finding things either. I was just going along, doing it the way that I felt more comfortable at. So it's like meeting a stranger for the first time when you finally sit and unlock that cupboard and turn the light on and take all the blankets off and all the locks off, and open the doors to all those abandoned parts of you, those misinterpreted parts of you, those parts of you that you have ignored or pretended weren't there. When you open that cupboard, it can be the most horrific and scary thing. And you really, I wanted to run away, and I did run several times as I got closer to opening the doors of that cupboard, because I knew there was going to be a lot of stuff in there. And there was a lot of unfelt emotions. There were a lot of emotions that at the time of the event that happened, and none of these were massive events. I haven't had big bad things happen to me. I just had lots of little things that I carried, more than most because I was extra sensitive. So I was really there was a lot of emotions in that cupboard that had gone in with those parts of me that I'd shoved in and shut the door so I didn't have to feel. And I knew enough, once I started to awaken, once I started to life coach, once I started to go into the self-help space, I knew that at some point I was going to have to go there. And it wasn't until very recently that I've talked in previous videos that I had the kumbaya round the campfire moment where I actually let every part of me come and sit around the campfire as my metaphorical brain. This is the only way that I can describe it. I let everybody come and sit around the campfire, and I had a talking stick, and I handed the talking stick around to each part of me that was locked in that cupboard and let it speak. And I loved it, and I gave it acceptance, and it's going to make me feel a little bit emotional. I gave it acceptance, and I felt all of the emotions that I hadn't felt around those things that had happened to me in grade 2, in grade 5, in grade 6 when I was faced with going on camp and didn't want to and had all the emotions and the things and the upset of that. All of the times when I had stood up and done something really proud and thought it was great, and people had either laughed at me or supported me to my face and talked about me behind my back. It was lots of those things that really stung at that moment in time in my life. And they were too painful to deal with, and I didn't know how to deal with them. And I didn't want to say. I grew up in the 70s I was born in 1970. So in that time, talking about your feelings like you do now, and it wasn't a thing. And so you were told to, get on with it. Don't make a big deal. You're just being a sook. You just want attention. All sorts of connotations with sharing how you felt. And some of the feelings that I had, I didn't understand because I had people supporting me to do these great things that were a little bit different and that were great, and I'd stand up and do them in front. I would perform in assemblies, and I would sing at concerts, and I would tap dance, and I would do all the things. But all of the innuendo and stuff that came with it from people who didn't get it, who didn't like it, who later I found out were jealous or all sorts of things, they were all in the cupboard from my little childhood. So I actually met with these for the first time and saw my little scared child and felt the emotions. But what wasn't as scary this time was that I'm now 53-year-old Suze, and I've learnt a lot. So while I couldn't put some of the emotions and thoughts and feelings together in a way that could make sense to pack them away and say, right, I've dealt with that, I now can. I now understand that sometimes hurt people. Sometimes people say stuff to you, but really, they really admire you. Sometimes people just don't get you. Sometimes people are too scared to do those things, and you doing those things can make them feel awkward. And some people just love to hate on other people because that's just who they are at that particular time in their lives. People at school are trying to vie for a position. They agree with this person who said that because they want to be in the group and they don't want to be outed. There's so many different things in childhood that can account for all the little things that I had come across. So I sat there and let those little parts of me speak. And it was like meeting them for the first time because I actually got to see them and I actually let them be what they were. I let those, like I said, the emotions run. Again, I'm getting emotional because it was shoved down for so long, and it was something that I ran from, and I tried to not let on that it affected me. I tried not to be a sook. I tried not to be all the things, I tried not to brag. You're just being braggy. You just think you're so good at that, don't you? And I didn't want to be that, and none of it was coming from that place. But to be misunderstood like that, it was far easier not to step into my gifts of the time. My ability to dance, my ability to do things, my ability to grasp stuff really quickly and learn really quickly and be in the top group at school. It was far easier for me to just lean back on all that and not do that, because then I didn't have to put up with being bombarded with other people's interpretations of it and feel the feelings I was feeling, which then I didn't know where to put. Does that all make sense? So I want to say this. Meeting those parts of me was really strange, really awkward, and like meeting someone for the first time because I hadn't got to know them. I just was really good shoving stuff in that corner. but I could meet them with love now because I've lived enough life. And so the energy of keeping that cupboard in the dark, making sure turning the light all the time this way and not letting it over there, not letting anyone know I had the baggage, not letting anybody know how I was really feeling, putting on the masks to be the shapeshifter that everybody wanted and be okay with everything, and becoming a people pleaser because that way I knew if they were happy, they wouldn't come back on me. So it's played through my whole life. I met these people. I met little me. I let her cry, I let her say, and then I said to her all the reasons. It's not actually your fault, my darling. It's not your fault that you could sing. It's not your fault that people picked on your tap dancing. It's not your fault that people picked on you when you got out in sport. You were seen as an easy target sometimes because you wore your heart on your sleeve. You felt emotions, you felt stuff. It's okay. I gave her a hug and I was able to, for the very first time, bring her to me, protect her, tell her it's okay, and bring her into me. And gradually, as I went round the campfire and gave every part of me the talking stick and got to the teenage years, which were really tricky, I met teenage me and saw her from a whole different point of view now. That person who thought that she was weak and thought that she was all the things that people had thrown at her. Big butt, your teeth are crooked. Ooh, you should get your teeth fixed. Ooh, you're this. Ooh, you're that. Ooh, you're just a teacher's pet getting up there and singing that. Oh, you got another award, huh? Wipe the brown off you. This is what I grew up with and what I shoved down because it was all painful to me because I was sensitive. As I met all those parts of me, I realised how beautiful they were. And I realised how unique they were and how sometimes uniqueness isn't seen as something amazing. It's seen as something different. And when we see something different, what do? We repel from it sometimes. We pull back from it. We point at it. We see it through our own lens that hasn't seen that before. So of course we're not going to identify with it. And so we may well push it away with, kind of things. Does that make sense? Gosh, I hope it does. I find so much of this so hard to put into words to be able to express the enormity sometimes of some of these things and the way that it is only a molehill, but we make it a mountain because we don't know how to deal with the feelings or the way that it is, or we don't know how to express ourselves in a way that doesn't come off as, big for your boots or whatever. So getting around the campfire, I got around a lot of it. I got round to the woman who had a baby at 19 and wasn't married and went against so many things. I came across the lady who had 4 kids and battled with depression but didn't want to tell people she was depressed because she was scared that people would think she didn't want her children. So she just suffered. I made peace with all of that and I felt all of those emotions for the very first time. And it is that, seeing it now from a 53-year-old point of view, that I realised the strength in her. The ways that she, Suze, in all her parts, was amazing and she just didn't know it. And she just needed that, someone to tell her it's okay. And there was no one there to tell her it was okay, and mostly because she didn't speak up. But I have been able to let her speak up now. And I've been able to feel all of the emotions that were in my body manifesting as depression, neck aches, headaches, backaches, throat, losing my voice for no apparent reason, for no reason at all. That stopped when I started to speak up for myself. And it's beautiful. So I just wanted to say this to you. Don't be scared when you do delve into that cupboard and you do let those different hurt, rejected, pushed aside parts of you out, and you look at them and it's like meeting somebody brand new. I want you to look at that person, that younger you, with new, fresh eyes, with the wisdom of lived wisdom that you have now, and look at them and help them to solve their problem, to feel loved, to feel that it's okay to have felt all those things, and to give them a big hug and bring them into you and bring them into your now self, because they have all the gifts and wisdom to help somebody else to get through all of those parts of healing, parts of self-discovery that then ultimately free you up and take all the weight off your shoulders so that you can be everything that you came here to be. If you've gotten to the end of this, thank you so much. I really appreciate spending time with people and talking with people. And I share in the hope that I can help somebody else to not feel alone, to not feel scared, to know that it's all sorts of things in your healing journey. And I just want to provide a safe space and some information for you to know that you're okay. All right, thank you again for spending time with me. And I hope to spend more time with you in videos further along. Check out my channel. I've got some older videos on here about all sorts of different things, and I've got some really great ones coming up. So if you feel inclined to do so, and you feel that the way that I resonate, the way that I speak and the way that I talk in metaphors, the way that I ramble, if that feels like that's something that resonates with you, please feel free to subscribe, to like the video, to put a comment on about what you found or what you do to help you in ways. And also please share it with somebody else who you think might get some value from it. Because the more that we share our stories, the more that we open up, the less little people we're going to have around that campfire that are going to need the talking stick, the less cupboards we're going to have, the freer we're going to feel, the more we're going to enjoy life. Okay, thank you again. I love you, and I will talk to you again very soon.